Greetings, friends, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So this is Tuesday night. We're starting a new show tonight. It's called What's New. It's not really a new show in the sense that this is the first episode. It's the first episode that it's being scheduled as a show. I have been doing What's New for a while now. I think this might be either number 12 or number 13 episode of this nature, but this show is now going to take place on Tuesday nights every second week, and it will alternate with metal, which has been moved to Tuesday night, so the two of them will combine to alternate with each other every second week. So this will be the first episode of metal as a show, and so I've chosen to do the first one is an album long overdue to be reviewed. I keep putting it off, others moving ahead, but I'm going to do it today finally. The album is called Light Up. It's by a band called Solstice. Now Solstice, for those of you who are not familiar with them, were one of the bands that came out during the second wave of progressive rock in the early 80s. Or mid 80s, I guess, maybe early to mid 80s, along with Marillion and Pendragon and Palace and IQ, and there's a whole bunch of them, but this was one of those bands. Not a band that I really cared too much for early, and I think my issue with them has always been their vocals. I'm not a strong proponent of the female singer they have. Does she have a good voice? It's okay, but it's marshmallowy in my opinion, and it's very muddled. It's hard to understand, and I find that continues on this album. Some parts are better than others, but the music is really good though. I do like the music quite a bit. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this album. First of all, it was released on January the 13th, 2023, so well overdue for a review here for a new album. I'm not sure what studio it was in. The album's length, I believe, was in the 35 to 40 minute range. They didn't give it, and I didn't do the math for it. The label is Giant Electric P, and it's Andy Glass, of course, is the producer, and Andy is the longtime member of the group. Okay, so the personnel on the album include Robin Phillips on bass, Peter Hamsley on drums, Jenny Newman on fiddle and violin. Basically they're the same instrument, it's just different sounds to them. Andy Glass, of course, is the guitar player. Steve McDaniel on keyboards, probably some synthesizers in there as well. They go together. Jess Holland is the vocalist, and then you have Jen Sanin and Ebony Buckle, who are the harmony vocals. Now I do like the harmony vocals. I do like them. They add a kind of they add some very orchestratal kind of almost angelic sounds to the album, which are good. It's just the lead vocalist and I don't necessarily think she's a bad vocalist. I just don't like her for this album. It gives the album a kind of too soft of a sound, I think, which I think hurts the band myself. Okay, so there are 6 tracks on this album. The first one is called Light Up, the self-titled album. The overall sound of the album, before I get too far into it, is it's of course very progressive. Lots of progressive elements here. A lot of atmospheric keyboards on this as well, like playing the background and filling in all that parts where there's no noise. Just very dominated. The album overall is actually heavier than I thought it was going to be. It's got more of a heavier sound to it on at least on the front half of the album anyways, which I do like quite a bit. The back half of the album, not so much. The guitar is really good. It's very melodic, especially on the solos. I find his solos are very melodic. He stretches the notes out quite a bit, but they're tastefully done. They don't just appear out of nowhere and not fit the scene and then disappear. They actually fit the music quite well. So I think he's a very good guitar player. I do like the keyboards. The drum and the bass parts are quite good. They're very got a lot of rhythmatic sounds to their music. Very, very strong rhythm melody section to the whole album, at least in my opinion. Okay, so there are, like I said, I did not write them on my board. I kind of made my notes on a paper here in front of me just to refer to for the 6 tracks on the album. So the first track is about 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes in length. Sorry, my hat is too tight. This hat you can't actually fix, so we're just going to lose the hat because it's digging into my skin and I don't really care for that. Okay, so this first track, Light Up, very, very upbeat. The vocals are very high end here. She's reaching towards the top of her vocal range, I believe. There's some nice guitar parts here. It's a very strong rhythm section with the drummer and the bass player, who I like the rhythm section of this band quite a bit. I think it's one of their true strengths in the album. They really have a good rhythm section. There's a little bit of an acoustic interlude on this song, which is mixed in with some synthesizer parts to try and give it an effect, I think. And then, of course, there's a violin solo, which is terrific and tastefully done and mixes well with the key points. Yeah, one of my favorite tracks on the album. The second track is also up there, so these are probably, I think, no, they aren't my favorite, but they're up there near the top. And this is called Woggle Number 9, which is a little over 7 minutes in length. Very heavy bass and drum opening, real catchy. It's catchy as hell, though. I like it. Some kind of slide guitar sounds here. Now, I don't know if he's actually using a slide guitar or it's just the style that he's using on the guitar for that solo that makes it sound kind of slide-ish. The vocals are a bit in the medium range. She's not at her high end here. It's a little bit more subdued. But the harmonies are very good and they add a lot of depth to the vocal parts as well. The song almost has a kind of a funky beat to it. Then you have your keyboard solo, which is different. But it's strong. It's a little bit of a different sound to it. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but very different sound to it. And then you have your heavy guitar solo bit, which is quite well done as well. So then we move on to the back half of the track album, and I'm gonna flip my notes over here to the back page. So you got 4 tracks. So this would be kind of, if you were doing an album side, in the old vinyl stuff, this would be the 3rd song on the first side, Mountain Ephraim it's called. Probably my favorite track on the album. It's very dominant fiddle part to open, which continues for quite a bit with a strong rhythm section to support it. It gives this really, really catchy sound to it. The song is just heavy and very catchy. It's probably the heaviest track on this album. The guitar solo is really heavy, really well done, and the keyboard solo equally as well done, and they kind of trade off with each other so that you get the 2 different sounds going at the same time. Harmony vocals are really, really strong on this track as well. The lead vocals are they're almost the backing vocals here, almost, which is good. I think that's part of the reason why I like this song so much. Then we get to the back half of the album. I don't think it's as strong, and we come to Run, which I think is maybe the weakest track on the album. It's a more somber, more keyboard, background noises, really kind of a somber feel to it. The vocals match the mood of the song as well. And it does pick up pace as it goes along, but it's still very somber and slow, and the guitar bits are also somber and slow. So yeah, it just kind of, it's melodic is what it is, but the back half of the song is a little bit more up-tempo than the front half. Home is the next track. It's about 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes long actually. This is a vocal dominated song. The lead vocals are muffled and high, and melody's not as bad. The harmony vocals are pretty solid here, but it's more of a subdued track with some guitar bits and some mystical feel to it. It gives it a bit of a mystical feel to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It does build a bit and becomes more forceful, especially the guitar part and the keyboards keyboard solo later in the song. So it's a pretty strong, heavy but melodic song. But not a great song, but I think it's not a terrible song either. Definitely passes. It's easily in the 6 range. The last track on the album, Balburg Tereg, which sounds almost Klingon. It opens with a kind of synthesizer keyboard part with a melodic keyboard part. Really, actually very melodic. Vocals again are muffled in a more subdued range. The keyboard and synthesizer driven tone throughout the entire track. It builds with the drums build it up a little bit towards the middle part of the song going on. The harmonies, of course, are good. Another strong harmony song. The piano solo or part that dominates this track, usually it comes in after the halfway point, but it's a little bit more subdued as well. But the piano isn't bad. It's maybe the best part of this song. I thought the guitar solo was melodic, heavy, forward, and pretty good, pretty solid. And the song continues to build, so it starts out and it just continues to build till it reaches the end of the song, which is where it crescendos out, and that's the end of the song and the album. That's the longest track on the album. I think it's over 10 minutes. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind Home either. They were okay. The only song on it that I thought was a little on the weak side and could have done without was the song Run. But overall, pretty strong album. I would say it's definitely progressive in a lot of its elements, but it does have a little bit of a poppy sound on some occasions too, and I'm not sure if that's intentional or the vocalist just lends herself more to that. I'm not really sure. So I tried to be honest here. I hope people enjoyed this video. If they did, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. Make your comments if you had a chance to listen to the album. Make your comments about it. I do actually like the album. I came into this with a bit of a closed mind because of my previous experience with the band. Said to myself, this is not really something that I would like to follow, but I have since changed my tune. This is definitely an album. Given the right time and the right circumstances and the right price, I would probably try to buy this album, and it's quite good. There's some of the tracks, there's at least 3 tracks on here that make it worth owning to me. So there you have it. What's New, featuring Solstice's Light Up album, which was released January the 13th, 2023, so it's about 6-7 months old. Give it a listen. Let me know what you think. So take care. Have a good day, and we will see you again next week for metal. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but I'll be ready by the time it comes. Take care. Bye.